know, it's been a great weekend. I've got a lot done. I got rid of the tree, and the bug problem seems to be much better now. I haven't seen any of the scales, and the not having a real big aphid problem. I haven't seen any aphids in this grow area, so still dealing a little bit with the potato plants. Again, they're in a different area. They're isolated on their own, so whichever way they go, it's not going to affect everything growing here. The corn I started a little bit earlier this year. It wasn't too big to transplant, but I think it'll do fine. Now the corn I can't put out probably until last weekend of May, first weekend of June, because I just don't have a cold frame or any greenhouse to put them in that's large enough. I'm not too sure how tall it'll be by then, so it'll be pretty much when I'm absolutely guaranteed that there's no frost. So if you're wondering what that sound was in the background, this is Snowball's little food ball. It's got some dry food inside, and it's got a little hole in it, so she has to toss it around for a bit to get a couple of pieces out. It's a good opportunity to get some exercise, and she can get her own food. So let's take a look and see where things are going here. So here we have honeydew. We've got the corn and some of the celery. These were the ones that were just the bottoms that were cut off and put in some water. These are the Chinese celery, same thing. And they've done really, really well. This is the cabbage. Here we can see the bottom. That was the bottom of the cabbage that was cut off, put in water. And we've got all the flowers that grew, were pollinated, and now we've got seeds. So just waiting for the seeds to finish up. Once they start to dry off, I'll start collecting those. One of the black tomatoes that were growing downstairs, the hyacinths are pretty much done. The flowers are starting to dry out. So they'll be finishing off their season with just their greens, and they'll be growing and building up the bulbs for next year. This is one of the beefsteaks. There's another beefsteak that I just recently transplanted into a larger pot, and this should be the final pot until it goes outside. Here we have another corn. I almost have to start naming them so I can keep track of them individually. The cherry tomato that came out with a small pot. I have 3 or 4 of them in a small pot. They're doing great now. They have their own pots. The Thai chilies that I recently just transplanted. Again, they were all in one pot, and they've just been separated. Some more Thai chilies, a honeydew. Here we have a corn doing well. Some new celery cuttings, beefsteak tomato, behind the corn I have the tomatoes. These were cuttings from one tomato I'd cut down. Here's the second one. These are cuttings from one of the beefsteaks. This is a mint plant. This I had in my office for the longest time. It pretty much died off because I was away for over a week during a trip, and it just dried right out, but it's doing a good comeback. Cutting tray. I'm going to have to maybe pull this one out and take a look at things and see what's going on, because everything seems just stagnated. So I'll have to pull this one apart and take a look at it. This is another one of the cherry tomatoes. Chili peppers. honeydew. One's doing a lot better than the other one. Mini pumpkin. This is the beefsteak tomato I chopped down. There you can see the center stem that was cut, and now it's growing all these branches out. And what I'll have to do is do some pruning on this. Some more honeydews. Another one of the corn. And I separate the habanero peppers into their own pots. Now for the most part, the flowers I put into these, or the flower seeds I put into these smaller pots, haven't done much. I do have one I have labeled as a medium purple flower. I don't actually know the name of this one, but it has come out. Hollyhocks haven't come out yet. I put some bags over the mango seeds I planted just to give a little bit of greenhouse effect, keep them humid, add some heat. So keeping an eye on those. The cucumbers, I had to take some of the starter tray, put them in their own little pods. So likewise, some of these are just getting a little too big and floppy for this starter tray, so I'm going to have to pull them out and put them in their own pots. I think for squash and zucchini, this starter tray is just too small to be starting those. So I'll have to find something else. Kohlrabies are doing good. Getting a little lanky. So again, I may have to replant those because it looks like they need some deeper soil. I got poppies, chrysanthemums, some Shasta daisies. Those flowers are all coming out. My grape cutting seems to be bouncing back. I've got some new green growth going on here. So I'll be keeping an eye on that, and I may just cut off the dead growth, all the dead leaves and that. Green onions, these I started from seed. Some are doing really well. I might throw down some more seeds. When spring comes around, these will go in the garden. And we'll see how they do this year. See how things go. I don't know if they'll get to a full spring onion size this year, but definitely the second year they'll be good size onions. Now with my pomegranates, I've got 3 seeds that came out now. So 3 of them have germinated, 2 of them have actually broken out of their shells. So it'll be interesting to see where these guys go. The dill is looking lanky. I think again it just started a little too close to the top here. But yeah, it's coming along. I'll see how it goes. I may just repot that. And the persimmons, doing really good. And I think they're getting close to being ready to repot as well. This is my pineapple plant. I grew this from the top of a pineapple. I started this, I think, late last year or last summer. And it didn't do much for the longest time, and then it started to grow a bunch of new leaves, and it's been growing new leaves since. So I think I got a year or so before it's ready to grow a pineapple. I can't remember how many years it takes. This is one of the avocados I started from a pit last summer. 2 more honeydews. Another mini pumpkin. This one I put right in the window here, and it kind of stopped and was doing so it wasn't really growing longer. So I've repotted it and I buried it deeper so that it can grow some more roots, and I hope it can start growing some length to it. I may see, if it does, to trellis it in the pot a bit. And I'm pulling off any flower buds that start because I want it to focus on growing some leaves and vines rather than flowers. Chrysanthemum's doing really good here. Haven't seen a bounce back of aphids or anything on it really. You can take a shovel, split it down in half, and then repeat that again and end up with 4 quarters, and you got 4 new plants out of one. And of course they'll grow and they'll become this size, and you can dig them up and do it again if you want more, or however you want to deal with that. And this is either an Easter cactus or Christmas cactus. It seems to flower every holiday, so I think it wants to be all of the above. But it does quite well in this window here. Under the table here, I've placed a bunch of plants. Now, for the most part during the day, they get full sunlight. It's just the early morning and late evening, they're not going to get much. So, there's sunny / partial shade in this area. But they seem to be doing quite well. And the nasturtiums are doing very well. I'm hoping they'll actually start flowering soon. So they're getting to about the right size to start growing some flowers. We've got African violets. And this African violet we grew from a leaf, and it's starting to take off now. There's actually a new leaf on the left that's been put into the soil. And I think it took about 7 months for the leaf to actually start to take off and grow some new shoots. So if you try this, you got to be really, really patient. But as long as you keep it watered, it will give you a new plant. Got another avocado down here. This is the one little avocado that was downstairs in the basement grow area. It's always been struggling, and it's kind of hanging in there, but its days are numbered. And we got another avocado here.